Hello.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Off the Dome Sports Podcast, your favorite sports podcast, where two sports lovers sit on this sofa and give their hot takes off the dome. I am Redfish.
And I am Mustang.
And we will be steering this ship today. Ooh, good steering move.
Thank you.
So
Been practicing.
As you should. So we've got some stuff going on tonight on the TV. Just in front of us, we're watching the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers. So we'll start off with some NBA talk before we get into the NFL in just a bit. So starting off with the NBA, we've got 4 playoff series currently happening. All of them at 3-2 on the matchups. So right now we're watching Boston versus Philly. Boston's up 15-12, but they are down in the series 3-2. Currently in Philadelphia. We've seen, the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns going at it, where Denver's leading 3-2. We've seen the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks kind of trading back games where Miami's up 3-2. And then probably the series most people are excited about and watching the most, Golden State Warriors versus Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers are up 3-2. So let's go ahead. We'll break down each series, just talk about what we think, what teams might look like moving forward. And we'll start with the game that's on now, Boston versus Philly. So first note, Joel Embiid did win MVP. So Philly has the MVP on their team. That's always a good look.
Yeah. Unless you're a Boston fan.
Semi-Boston fan sitting next to you. I'm always going to cheer for the Celtics if I'm not cheering on my Pels. So, they're down 3-2, but they've also been down 3-2 the past 2 years and won both series when they were down 3-2, except for the finals.
Yeah.
But, in the Eastern Conference, they were down 3-2 to the Nets. They were down 3-2 to the Bucks, I believe, and they ended up coming out winning both series. So it's nothing that they're not used to, so we'll see how that series goes. But a big note from Boston is that Jason Tatum made All-NBA first, and Jaylen Brown made All-NBA second. I saw this question on Twitter, and I want your off-the-dome response. Do you think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are the best duo in the NBA?
I saw this too, and I think they are. When you look at how well they play together, how well the Celtics play when they're on the court together, it's uncomparable to really any other duo that I can think of.
Yeah, the only other ones I saw people arguing were AD and LeBron and Booker and Durant. Booker and Durant, I think, have an argument.
They definitely
especially
do.
in this playoffs where they're both averaging 30 on very efficient shooting. I know at one point Booker was averaging 36 on 57, which is...
That's some Tony Snell numbers.
Oh, God. I love Tony Snell, but don't you ever say that again.
That one's for Reese.
That one was beyond a point of return. We can't go past anything when you say Tony Snell. But yeah, Boston versus Philly. I'm excited for this game that's on right now. I think Boston's going to end up pulling out, send it to a Game 7, which will be a really good game. I think these teams are they're both finals caliber teams. Yeah. It kind of sucks that they had to meet in the second round. I think this would be an awesome conference finals. But
agreed.
Who do you think is going to win the series all in all? Celtics, 76ers.
So yeah, like you said, would be a great conference finals, and I could say the same about Phoenix and Denver too. Two teams that could easily be in the conference finals or in the NBA finals.
Yeah,
in my opinion. But I like the Celtics. I like the way they're playing right now. They started off this game hot. Philly's kind of trailing back now. They were up. I think it was 12-2 at one point in the game, or 13-2.
It was 13-3 just a couple minutes ago,
and now it's 15-12. So they brought it back. It really could go either way at this point. But I gotta stick with my dogs in Boston.
Yes, that's what I like to hear, baby. Yeah, they're no stranger to a game like this.
Yeah, they like the pressure.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem. Yeah, I think Boston's gonna end up pulling out. I think they have players on their team who have this playoff experience. As we watch Al Horford kind of lay into the players on the team right now, I don't think he should be one to talk because he went 0 for 8 last game. Didn't score a single point. So
This could be his last run.
It should be his last run. Dude's like
3 years ago they said the same thing about him.
Dude's old. But yeah, all in all, I think Boston will pull this series out. And that's, I mean, we'll either be proven right or wrong in just a couple hours.
Yeah.
They've got the 6th man of the year. They've got 2 All NBA players. They've got all the talent in the world, and they've got a lot of experience too. So I'm pulling for Boston, obviously. Moving on to the second. Second game series. That's the game I was looking for. Name I was looking for. Jeez, words are hard. Second series in the Eastern Conference: Knicks versus Heat. Heat are up 3-2. This is kind of like, I would be honest, the one I've been paying the least amount of attention to, and it's kind of flying the most under the radar, just because it doesn't have like the star power of the other series. I'd say. While Jimmy Butler has been playing absolutely phenomenal basketball in the playoffs, and they still have names like Bam Adebayo for the Heat, and on the Knicks side, Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle have proven to be an effective duo.
Along with R.J. Barrett.
Absolutely. I mean, both teams have very talented players, but I think it's just kind of it's more of like a gritty series. It's not like a super flashy, tons of star power. It's more of like who's going to play the stronger defense type stuff. But what's your thoughts on New York versus Miami?
I really like Miami coming into this series, especially after what they did in the last series. Jimmy Butler, the definition of willing your team to wins, did it 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
40-plus points, 3 games in a row. One of them was like 55 points, I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I mean, he has been scoring the ball. He's been playing defense. And not only that, but he's been distributing to his teammates too.
Yeah,
he's just been the all around best player for the Miami Heat.
Yeah, even with their 6-man Tyler Hero out, they've still been playing very good basketball. The guys on the bench have stepped up immensely in this playoff run, and so I'm going to stick with them in this. They're up 3-2. I think they could pull out the win tomorrow night and move on to the next round.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Miami Heat as well. I think, to be honest with you, I think this will be the only series that ends in 6. I think all the series are going to go to 7, and that's a spoiler alert for what I'm going to say, about the other series, I guess. But I think this is the only series that's going to end in 6. You go back to Miami. Miami's, in my opinion, just the better team. I'm kind of surprised that sorry, give me a second here. I'm trying to pull up the schedule release on the NFL schedule release on the laptop. That way we can keep up with 2 things at once. You know how we do. But yeah, I think Miami. You're going back to Miami. Jimmy Butler's been playing out of his mind. Bam Adebayo is still a very good player. Tyler Hero coming off the bench. Miami's my favorite to win in this series and take on whoever wins out of Boston and Philly. Moving on to the West. Let's start with the Nuggets and the Suns. For me, I'll give another spoiler alert here. I think
that shirt is hot.
Thank you, Dustin. That is a hot shirt. I should be wearing it too. That's on me. I think whoever wins out of the Nuggets and the Suns is going to go to the finals out the West. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think both of these teams, could win the whole thing. Honestly, I think they both have the solid team depth in their roster, and especially if you look at the Nuggets and their young talent, those guys have really stepped up this year. One of my favorite players in Bones Highland.
He's a Clipper, by the way.
Yeah, he got traded, but I remember that now.
He was a Nugget to start the year.
He was, and he should have stayed there, in my opinion.
What do we know?
But yeah, the Suns have that star power and the veterans like Kevin Durant and Chris Paul, and even Devin Booker is considered a veteran now after a few years under his belt. I think with that kind of chemistry that they've built this quickly, they definitely have the potential to win it all. But they've, from what I've seen lately, the Nuggets have been playing good enough to keep up with the Suns, and then when it comes down to it, I think the Suns are beating themselves late in the games. So that's why I'm going to go with the Nuggets winning this series.
Yeah, I like that. they're going back to Phoenix tonight. I could see Phoenix taking it on the home court. I mean, like we said, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have been playing absolutely phenomenal basketball. There's no denying that. I mean, they had the other night when your least favorite player in the entire NBA and Landry Shamet scored 14 points in the fourth quarter
a career
to
high
win the
for him?
game. It's got to be a career high in everything. Dude, just kind of buns. But, yeah, Landry Shamet scores 14 points in the fourth quarter, basically wins the Suns the game on his own. But then again, in that same game, Jokic had a 53-point triple-double, and they lost. So I think the story might be less about what are the Suns doing right and more about does Jokic have enough help? I mean, you've got names around him. You've got Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray's been playing very well in these playoffs.
Jamal Murray's been playing well. KCP can hit the three. Aaron Gordon has come out of his shell the past 2 seasons, moving on from just the dunker that you saw in Orlando to being an all-around basketball player. Michael Porter Jr., if he stays healthy, he can be a good shooter and play well, but we just haven't seen the consistency from those around Jokic, even though he makes everyone around him better. For me, I'm kind of in a toss-up of who I'm going to pick to win the series. I don't know who I'm going to pick, and I'm about to say it in like 5 seconds, so I guess I got to make my mind up. I'm going to go with the Suns. I'm not confident in it. I'm not confident in either team winning the series.
Yeah, because it could go either way.
I mean, Denver's up 3-2, so they've obviously been playing good enough to win 3 games. It really does come down to, is everyone else around Jokic going to play effective enough to win the game? And I think I trust the Suns more than I trust the Nuggets from the sense of star players doing what they need to do to win the game.
Yeah.
Even though Chris Paul's been out, I know they had some
Ayton's
talk.
not playing tonight either.
Ayton's not playing tonight. Oh, shoot, you're right. If Ayton's not playing and Chris Paul's not playing, Nuggets might win the series tonight. It's a big...
Some guys are going to have to step up on the Suns when that's why I chose the
Nuggets.
Nuggets.
Of information. All right. With Ayton out, that changes my mind. Thank you for that.
Of course.
I'll go Nuggets now. If you have, I don't even know who the Suns' backup center is, but whoever he is, Jokic is probably going to make him look silly.
I believe it's a tall white guy.
Oh, okay.
What's his name?
A big white, you say? I enjoy big white. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that makes me want to pick the Nuggets. If I can't even name you the backup center who's going to be starting against Jokic tonight, it doesn't look great for you. Oh yeah, Jock Landale. Yes, that's who it is.
Yes.
Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton both out, which means Booker and Durant would probably each have to score 40 for them to even have a chance. Which is possible.
They have been doing.
Very possible. So we'll see where that goes, but I'll take the Nuggets. And then lastly, the one that probably everybody cares the most about, just because of star power.
The most hyped.
Golden State versus the Lakers. Give me your rundown.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't paid much attention to this one. The Lakers really, in my mind, shouldn't. I didn't think they would be close to making the playoffs.
It's kind of making me angry that they're still here.
And then they've stuck around. I thought they'd be a first-round exit. But that just goes to show what LeBron in the playoffs is capable of.
True.
I guess. But no, we've seen Curry and the Warriors in the playoffs for feels like 20 years now.
All right. Cool. No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to audibly say anything. Keep going. That was bad. That was a bad look on me.
And we've seen Curry in the playoffs for a long time now, and he's always, he's like Patrick Mahomes. You can never count him out, really. Even this late into his career. And he's got help this time. Draymond's, I don't like him, but he's been playing well.
Least favorite player in the NBA, by far. Actually, wrong. Dylan Brooks. I hate Dylan Brooks even more.
This one is honestly a toss-up to me. Lakers are up 3-2.
Going back home tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
It's tough.
Yeah, give me LeBron and the Lakers.
I hate it. I hate that you might be right. Because, I hate LeBron. I do. There's no denying it.
It's his legacy.
He annoys me. Just absolutely succeeding every time he tries to. It just gets on my nerves. But, the Warriors have been a dynasty over the past 8 years, winning, 4 championships? And, last year was not a year anybody expected them to win one. And then Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, they bring in Andrew Wiggins. They've got, some talent, some young talent off the bench, and Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. So
Jordan Poole.
You can't forget about Jordan Poole. That's on me. He hasn't had a great series.
No.
He's been shooting the ball very poorly, but still a really good player. They've got names on both sides and got contributors on both sides. I think it for me it kind of comes down to what does everyone do who's not a star? So we know Steph Curry's going to score. We know Klay Thompson's going to shoot the ball lights out. We know LeBron's going to be able to get 26, 6 and 2. We know AD is going to play very, very good defense. We know he's going to be able to score down low. So what do the role players do? And for me, that's where I think I'm going to pick Golden State here, just because Jordan Poole may be having a bad series, but if he catches fire, he's going to score 35. Andrew Wiggins has been a very effective player. I hate Draymond with everything in me, but I can't deny that he is a glue guy and he brings the team up, even when he's punching them down.
And he's been, the clips I've seen of him of late have been a different Draymond than what I've been seeing. We've always seen the Draymond who's kind of just laid back and, arguing with people and kind of playing dirty a little bit. But from what I've seen recently, he's, always hustling for the ball, always trying to get open. He's moving around a lot more. He's playing a different brand of basketball than what you're normally used to see out of Draymond, and it's been working.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I saw a tweet, and first basket of the last game between the Warriors and the Lakers, Draymond three-pointer. Somebody said if Draymond's making a three as your first basket in the game, you got to win. And they didn't. They did. But yeah, I think it's hard to doubt Steph and it's hard to doubt LeBron, because every time you doubt, those are the two players where you're like, you can't ever doubt either of them, because the second you start to doubt either of them, they start winning. So it's hard to doubt either one. But I think the Warriors are a better overall team, and I think they'll find a way to win out this series. So for me, that would give me Celtics versus Heat and Nuggets versus Warriors. And I think you had the same, right? No, you had Lakers. Nuggets versus Lakers.
Yes. But the reason I chose the Lakers over the Warriors, it's not because of LeBron, it's not because of AD.
I know who you're going to say. AR-15?
AR-15, baby. Austin Reeves has been him for the Lakers. Always been open for LeBron when he's in trouble. Always,
he has been so good.
Always standing in that corner waiting. If not, he is crashing to that paint. He is getting him a bucket.
Austin Reeves has been unbelievably good. He's like a more likable Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining about that. But, either way, out of these 8 teams, though, who do you see? Who's your favorite to win it all right now?
To win it all out of these 8 teams, that's tough.
Before the finals started, you had the finals as Cavs versus Grizzlies, and both those teams got knocked out in round 1.
Correct.
So, take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But out of the 8 teams left, who do you see winning it all?
To be fair, whenever we were doing that episode and picking those teams, I wanted to see, some new teams in the finals.
Yeah, you were having fun.
And when I saw those 2 teams, look like they had a shot at making it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm picking them.
Yeah.
Just throw a little fun in there. Plus, they were playing really good basketball up to that point. They kind of both...
They both definitely underperformed
in the playoffs. But out of these teams, so I had Celtics, Heat.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. First thought, Celtics would win against the Heat.
But then again,
Jimmy Butler.
Heat beat the number 1 seed in
Bucks.
5 games.
Yeah.
So you can't really count them out either.
So that's kind of a toss-up. And then I had Nuggets, Lakers. You know, if that's the matchup, Nuggets-Lakers, I think the Lakers could pull that off.
Ugh. You disgust me.
It pains me to say it, but I really think they could because, you know, if AD's on Jokic, that's a really good matchup for the Lakers.
AD is a top 5 defensive player in the league, I would say.
And then who's their next best defender? Who's going to be on LeBron?
Aaron Gordon? I don't love that for the Nuggets.
Yeah. I mean, down low, yeah, that's probably a good matchup. But when you get them in the perimeter and space, I think LeBron's too quick for AG.
The Nuggets will probably do a lot of switching with a Lakers team that has a lot of juice.
Yeah, which would inevitably leave AR-15 open. So every possession would go.
He scores like 97 points. That'd be awesome.
If that's the matchup, my heart is telling me to go with the Lakers.
Man, as a 7 seed and a team that kind of just has LeBron, AD, and a bunch of role players, it's hard to pick them, but you're right. Like, it just, every time you look at them, you're like, they're just playing well. Like, they're just winning games. And you don't know how, you don't know why, but they're doing it.
All right, so I'll do this. If the Lakers win tonight, I'd take them to beat the Nuggets.
Okay.
If they don't win tonight, so if it goes to a Game 7, I'll take the Nuggets to win.
Okay. And what if the Nuggets end up facing against the Warriors? Who would you take there?
The Nuggets.
Okay. So you'd have a Celtics-Nuggets finals?
Yeah, and if that's the case, give me the Celtics. They don't have the manpower to guard all those shooters and all those stars in Boston.
Probably the NBA's dream, if they could rig it, which they can, if they could rig it to be who they want it to be, a Celtics-Lakers finals. I mean, just the two most storied franchises, the biggest rival of the 1980s. That would be a finals that would draw in tons of viewers
and it's
money.
Very, very possible.
And it's still very possible. So, for me, that's the finals I'm going to go with. If the Lakers can beat the Warriors, I'll go Celtics-Lakers just because the NBA will find a way to get the Lakers in there. But if the Warriors end up winning, I'll take Celtics versus Nuggets. I think the Celtics are going to win the finals this year. I know they're having a rough patch right now, but they're currently up 42-28 in Philly.
Yeah, they're dominating this game.
I think Jaylen Brown might be the best second option on a team in the NBA. I know we talked about like who's the best duo, but if you strictly go at take everybody's best player off and you're left with your second best player, who's the best one left? I think Jaylen Brown is the number one of those guys.
If you look at Phoenix,
I would take oh my! Can I take Jaylen Brown over Devin Booker?
I
don't think I can. No. You're right. Okay, I messed up. That's on me.
But yeah, for the other teams, well, Lakers would probably be another one because take off LeBron, you still have AD.
I would take Jaylen Brown over AD.
I probably would too. I mean, it depends on the scenario, really. Like,
yeah,
for offense, yes.
I think I'm biased because I love Boston so much, and I'm a huge Jaylen Brown fan. I'm a huge Jason Tatum fan. But I think Jaylen Brown is so special. I think he could easily be a guy, if he's a number one option on a team, he could easily be a guy who averages 28 a game.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, I think he's averaging like 24, 25 right now as the second option. So he's a really good player. I don't see any of the other 7 teams being able to stop Tatum and Brown if they're hot. So I'm going Boston to win it all.
Yeah,
no matter who they play.
I could definitely agree with that. You know, they got such a dynamic duo in Tatum and Brown, but not only that, they have a deep team. Like they're not great at every position, but they're better than average.
You can name their bench players.
Exactly. Their bench is deep and good.
I mean, Malcolm Brogdon won 6th Man of the Year this year.
And I don't think any of the other teams, you know, currently left in the playoffs have that kind of roster.
I agree.
So yeah, I'd like to see the Celtics win it too.
Yeah, I think depth matters in the playoffs. And
now, what if the Celtics, you know, blow this game
and it's 76ers.
Yeah.
I think 76ers will make it out of the East. And imagine an Embiid Jokic finals. That would be something. That would be fun, huh? Just old school center matchup.
That would be fun.
In that matchup specifically, I would take the Nuggets. I mean, it's such a cop out answer, but I think it's so matchup based. It really matters who wins.
It is.
Because there's so many different matchups you can make out of the 8 teams left, and I would probably pick a different team every time you give me a new matchup. But if Boston were to lose, I'd probably take Denver to win it all in that case. Or honestly, if Boston were to lose, I'll take the winner of the Denver versus Phoenix series. So if Denver wins that series, I'll take them. If Phoenix wins the series, I'll take them. But outside of them, I'm definitely going Boston. All right. We've covered the NBA. We've done our due diligence. It is now time to get to the
bread and butter.
The bread and butter of this episode. The inspiration of that T-shirt. The inspiration of the name of this podcast. And our favorite football team.
Correct.
The New Orleans Saints. The NFL has released its schedule. So we're going to go game by game. Who the Saints are playing, where they're playing, and if we think it's going to be a win. So this is our way too early Saints predictions for the year. How many wins are we going to get? Before we start, I will let you know that the win total is set at 9.5 for the Saints this year. I know which way I'm leaning. I know which way you're leaning. But let's go game by game. Pick the win or the loss. Give us a little recap of why. And then we'll be set.
And if you're watching at home, feel free to, after we go through this or even during, poke your comments in. But I'd like to see, what you think our record would be after we go through this.
Absolutely. And
Dustin,
before we
that
start,
means you.
Dustin, it does mean you. Gerald and Geraldette, I'm sure you're also watching. And if you are, you better be.
Soundman better be watching.
Soundman better be watching. Oh, Dustin left a comment. No LSU pitching fixes or who we think should be starting right field. So LSU does need to fix their pitching.
Yeah,
before we get into the Saints, let's talk about
Auburn
that.
series.
I mean,
that was atrocious.
Outside of Paul Skeens right now, we just don't have any consistency. Ty Floyd can be a 7-inning, 9-strikeout, 2-hit, 1-run kind of guy, or he can give you 2 innings and allow 6 runs. I mean, just there's no consistency.
Yeah.
I don't know how you fix that, though, because you give a guy the ball and he'll play well, and then you give the same guy the ball the next weekend, and it just gone. Will Helmers, I do believe, is hurt. I think our entire bullpen got hurt.
Yeah.
I know Garrett Edwards is out for the year. I don't know if Will Helmers is out for the year. I know Jaden Newt's out. I know Javen Coleman is back, but he hasn't really found his rhythm yet, only pitching a couple of games so far. It's just hard, man. It's hard to find consistency when nobody can give it to you.
Yeah.
Except for Paul.
We've been lucky to win this amount of games, I think, with this pitching rotation. And if we make it to Omaha, it's not going to last.
Don't say if, when. When we make it to Omaha. Come on, be positive.
Yeah, when we make it to Omaha, with this kind of, you got to have pitching like we've seen, like the Vanderbilts who have gotten by on pitching, and like the Tennessees who have done the same thing. It's all been in the rotation, and LSU's rotation has not been good enough.
No, it has not.
To make it the distance.
Yeah, I mean, I really am worried about
especially
our bullpen.
that Sunday game last weekend against Auburn.
We got 10-run ruled as the number 1 team in the country. Geraldine and Geraldine are watching. Thank you.
I think we at least throw strikes this weekend. Let those 8 guys behind you do their jobs. And yeah, that's what I was saying Sunday. Like, you got to let your defense play behind you. Like, I was a pitcher. I know it. Like,
you said this. I will back you up.
I don't have.
Did say this.
I didn't have the velocity, but I had the breaking balls. I had the location. I could throw a pitch where I wanted it, and it's just frustrating to watch these guys. Try and throw their all when they have no command on their fastball. Like, who started the game?
Christian Little.
Yeah.
Went a whole 2. What? No, not even. He didn't even get 2 outs.
He didn't get out the first inning. No, and I watched him throw 20 pitches, and it was 16 balls and 4 strikes. The only ones he threw for strikes were curveballs that they swung at. Wasn't even a strike. He threw one fastball.
Dude, he had. I mean, you, and Reese immediately said this dude has no command of the strike zone. Like, he could not put the ball. It felt like he was just throwing the ball, and wherever it went, it went.
Yeah, he was over rotating. He was trying to throw as hard as he could. When in that case, that's the message you send to your team when you're doing that, is that you don't trust your defense behind you. You don't believe in them to make the plays. And you got to get this guy out at the plate, which is not the case at all, because LSU's been playing much better defense this season than last season.
Like, our defense isn't bad. I think our fielding percentage was like, I don't think it's the best in the SEC, but I think it was top 5.
Yeah, it's
like, it's not like, I think it was like a 986 at one point, which at last year we were like 962 on fielding percentage, which is very bad.
Yeah, especially with Dylan Cruz in the outfield, who covers a lot of ground. Same with Kling, because he was playing that Sunday.
And that talks to his second question of who we should be starting in right field. I think it's kind of just like
it's kind of matchup based, because we have a lot of bats.
Kling and Pearson are our two guys who were kind of rotating back and forth.
Yeah,
Pearson went cold and couldn't hit the ball to save his life. We put in Kling. Kling hit a home run. Kling's much faster on the bases. He's
the fastest one on the team.
He's a very electric player. I don't think either one really shows a difference in the field, in my opinion. I think they're kind of both just, they don't make mistakes necessarily, but they're not like spectacular. They're kind of just average in the field.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, it's who's going to bat better against this team or against this pitcher.
Yeah.
And as of late, it's been Kling.
Yeah, I think you just play hot hand, and right now it's Kling. If he starts to go cold, give Pearson another shot. But yeah, the pitching, our defense is well enough for you to just throw strikes, and if they start popping out and they start hitting hard grounders to Tommy or to Jordan, they've been playing well defensively. So you got to trust the guys behind you. Don't try to rule the game on your own, and that goes for not only Ty Floyd and Christian Little, but the guys in the bullpen too. Blake Money, he's been picking it up lately, but he was pretty bad to start the season. Bryce Collins and Thatcher Hurd are kind of on their way up after rough starts as well.
Very rough starts for Thatcher Hurd.
Yeah, very rough start, but he's picking it up. Our only real consistent guy, or two consistent guys out of the bullpen, were Ackenhausen and Edwards. Edwards is out for the year, unfortunately, but Ackenhausen's kind of been the one guy who I feel like we can depend on, but you can't throw your only effective lefty more than like maybe once a weekend and then an inning in another game. You can't be using your only left-handed arm that much.
Yeah.
Anyway. I still think LSU's going to make it to Omaha, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think I want to say, last weekend against Auburn was a fluke. The pitching hasn't been the best, but it's never been that bad.
So only 2 teams in SEC history have ever won all of their SEC series for the season. Neither team made it to Omaha. So it would have looked bad had we won every SEC series. Now that we didn't, it looks a lot better. Also, the past 10 years, only one team being ranked number 1 going into Omaha won the College World Series. We don't have that problem being ranked number 2.
Who's ranked 1 now?
Wake Forest.
Oh yeah, they've been playing really good.
They've been playing some baseball right there. And plus, we play in the toughest conference in baseball.
Yeah.
End of the day, if guys get a hit 3 out of 10 times, they're looked at as successful. That leaves a 70% chance if you're throwing strikes that guys will get themselves out.
Exactly.
Yep. Hit the nail on the head. Completely agree. Especially when you're playing teams who a lot of SEC teams rely on their pitching a lot too. So if you can pitch strikes to batters, they're not always going to hit the ball very well.
Exactly.
Not a lot of SEC. I mean, we have the best bats in the country. I don't think that's even arguable. So it's not like you're pitching against Trey Morgan, Dylan Cruz, Tommy White. Like, you're not pitching against those guys. You're pitching against guys who are hitting 260, 270.
Yeah. And then, with our bats, like you said, by far, I'd say that they're the best lineup in the country. But not only that, any one of them can go yard.
Yeah. I don't think there's a single player who's played more than 3 innings on our team who hasn't hit a home run. They all hit home runs. Jared Jones, Cade Beloso, Trey Morgan, Dylan Cruz, Tommy White, Paxton Kling, Josh Pearson. Jordan Thompson.
Jordan Thompson,
Hayden
man.
Travinski has been hitting home runs like crazy recently. Alex Milazzo has gotten so much better with the bat in his hands this year. He was a very bad batter last season, and this season he's been a lot better. He's been getting on base a lot more. So every guy on our team is a threat with the bat in their hands. I think pitchers just have to know that, hey, if I give up 2 or 3 runs, it's okay because the guys on the other side of the field are going to score 8 or 9.
Exactly, yeah. And pitching at this level on this team comes down to don't try and do too much.
No, you
and
can't.
Last weekend they all tried to be Paul Skeens.
Yeah, and you can't be. There is no other Paul Skeens. I mean, there are people in the MLB saying, yeah, he would be a starter in the MLB right now.
Exactly.
You're not going to be Paul Skeens because he's going to be the number 2 pick in the draft probably.
No, yeah. He's one of those guys that are, just a freak. 7 innings deep, he's still throwing 100+ fastballs.
Yeah, I mean, there's no being another Paul Skeens, but what you have to do is you have to play your role and play it well. And hopefully guys can figure that out before we get into regionals, super regionals, and then make our way.
Yeah, hopefully this series against Mississippi State this weekend will
We'll find some more consistency.
We'll see what we're used to seeing rather than last weekend.
Absolutely. Moving on from LSU baseball, let's get back into the Saints. We're going to go week by week, break down the schedule, if we see a winner or a loss, and then at the end we'll see what our records say.
Okay.
So week 1, we're going to be starting off the season September 10th, noon o'clock, home game against the Tennessee Titans. Starting off the season home against the Titans. I like that matchup.
I like it a lot.
I appreciate us starting the season at home, and I appreciate us starting against a team that probably won't be great this year. I think their line is set at 7.5 on wins. I might take the under on that. They don't have a surefire quarterback situation right now. They've got 3 in the building, one who they just drafted in the 2nd round after drafting Malik Willis in the 3rd round last year. Tannehill was hurt at the end of last year with Josh Dobbs starting 2 games. Derrick Henry isn't even 100% sure to be on the team when the season starts with all the rumors going around him. Their best receiver is a guy who you can't really rely on because he didn't play last year in Traylon Burks. I mean,
a lot of potential out of Traylon Burks, but potential is potential.
Right. And he was compared to A.J. Brown coming out of college, which that's why they brought him in and then ended up trading A.J. Brown for him, basically. So we'll see what the Titans do this year, but
Titans are a mystery this year.
They are. They're a team that could finish anywhere from 5 to 10 wins. And it'll all be on coaching because Mike Vrabel, I think, is one of the best coaches in the NFL. But I would like to see, and I think we will see, the Saints start off the season 1-0. Titans' defense isn't all that great, and we always have a good run defense, and we did a lot to address it in the offseason, I believe, with bringing in 4 new D tackles. So I think if we can stop Derrick Henry, we'll beat the Titans pretty handedly. The next week we go to Carolina in week 2. That'll be our first primetime game. That'll be a Monday night in Carolina. What's your thoughts on that one?
I told you earlier that the division is going to be a lot tougher now that we've gone through the draft and we've seen what teams will be looking like, and coming up on it, the division's getting stronger. But so are the Saints. I could honestly see this game going either way, but the fact that it's primetime in Carolina, I might have to side with Carolina on this one. Actually, this is week 2, right?
Week 2.
When do we play them again?
We do not play them again until week 14.
I'll take the Saints winning in week 2.
Okay. I'm going to go opposite. I think Carolina wins it in their home stadium. The Saints always struggle divisional away games, in my opinion. Like I don't know if that's true, but it just feels to be true. Unless we're playing in Tampa, we always seem to dominate in Tampa. But going on the road to Atlanta, going on the road to Carolina, I feel like it's always tough games. I think we lost last year in Carolina, and maybe the year before that as well. This will be Bryce Young's probably, first primetime game. Because, Frank Reich tried to come out and say, "Oh, Bryce Young isn't our starter yet. You drafted him number 1 overall. He's your starter. Shut up." So he'll it'll be his first game to prove himself. I think I'm gonna go with Carolina on this, just because the Saints aren't known for having hot starts on the year. They're always known to kind of start cold and then work their way up throughout the rest of the season. So divisional game, prime time. I think we drop one early in the year to Carolina. So I'll have us at 1-1.
So here's my thinking behind this. I think we're going to go 1-1 with Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll win the first one because Carolina... Well, first of all, Carolina has a young team, especially with Bryce Young at the quarterback. Going to need to build up that chemistry. They're not going to be as strong early as they will be later in the year. Plus, the Saints get hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So towards the end of the year, when we're more injured, I think Carolina could take that as an opportunity to win.
I can totally see it from that side.
But
too.
I do think we'll win one of these games, whether it be the first one or the second one. I think we'll come away with one win.
Yeah, I can definitely see your side of it too.
Now, if we stay healthy, who's to say we couldn't win both of them?
If we stay healthy, who's to say we can't go 17-0? Because we do have the second easiest schedule in
Correct.
the NFL. Moving on to week 3, when we go to Lambeau, taking on a Jordan Love-led Green Bay Packers. That's an interesting team. We don't know what the Packers are going to be. It's the first time in
a lot of teams
17 years without Aaron Rodgers.
A lot of teams in the NFL this year are going to look a lot different.
A lot of teams.
Packers being one of them.
Yeah. Super young Packers team.
Oh, yeah, very young. But because it's so early in the season and at Lambeau, the weather's not going to be that much of a factor. Yeah. I'll take the Saints winning this game because of a similar situation to Carolina, and they got to build up that chemistry, and it's not going to happen over 2 games.
I agree. I think the Saints can easily take a game against Green Bay. Jordan Love has not proven himself to be an effective NFL quarterback yet. Of course, he hasn't had all the chances in the world, but even the few games he started when Aaron Rodgers were out, he hasn't really proven anything. I think the Saints are going to lean on their defense a lot this year. Just because of the chemistry on the offense. We don't know when Kamara is going to be playing or if he's going to be playing. Michael Thomas may or may not be healthy. So that means new guys will be getting a shot. And then you have a new quarterback. So the offense may take a little bit to click, but I trust our defense a lot. And they'll be our strong suit going into Lambeau. I'd see us going 2-1 to start the year.
I agree with that.
Week 4.
Or 3-0.
3-0, 2-1, either way. I'm happy with both.
And with week 4, I'd say
week 4, I think it's another win. Sunday game, noon game against Tampa Bay in the Superdome, Caesars Superdome. Tampa Bay is probably going to be very bad this year, in my opinion. I think Baker's going to start at quarterback for them. They have Kyle Trask backing him up.
I think Baker's going to start. We may see Kyle Trask when Baker inevitably has another meltdown.
Yep.
And throws 6 picks in a game.
Why not against us?
That might be the game that he throws 6 picks.
Yeah, Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Alontae Taylor, Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May. We got a secondary.
I love our secondary.
I do. I'm so excited about this year. Then again, I was excited about last year, and we went 7-10. I think the season will come down to coaching though, and we have more chemistry on the coach.
I really hope to see an improvement from Dennis Allen. Mostly, is what I'm looking forward to. He's kind of got a clean slate this year. The injuries were a big factor last year, so I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see how this year turns out, but if we stay healthy and we perform similar to last year, then I think we got to make a change at coach.
Yeah, I would agree. If we can't at least make I think we can win the division, and we should win the division. I think if we don't, you've got to at least consider a new coach. But, just sticking on the schedule here, Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 4, I've got us winning there. I don't think the Bucs are going to be very good this year at all.
I think we'll sweep them this year.
Foreshadowing. Week 5, another away game going to Gillette against the New England Patriots.
Junior Gillette.
Oh, God. This game is kind of one of those toss-up games where it's like, we should beat the Patriots because they're not a super talented team, but it's also Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick at home.
And you can't count them out. Patriots have made a lot of moves this offseason that could make them better. They brought in Juju at wide receiver, so they finally have a good receiver. Drafted Kayshon Boutte. Devontae Parker's still there, so they've got some offensive players. With Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield, you know they're always going to have a good defense. Going to Foxborough.
What's the odds that Paul drafts Kayshon Boutte in fantasy?
I want to say 98. And what's the odds Paul drafts Kayshon Boutte? We tell him a rumor about him, and then he releases him, and then he has a Rookie of the Year season. What's the odds on that one?
That will never happen. The last part will never happen. The first part, highly likely.
Shout out Jamar Chase. But going to Foxborough, I actually have us dropping this one. Like I said, the Saints aren't always known to start the season hot, and it's going to be a tough game to go to New England and win. I think it's definitely a situation where you could see us losing. I think the matchup doesn't work in our favor necessarily, because I think the two things that the Saints struggle with are a dynamic running back out of the backfield and a good secondary. And the New England Patriots have both of those, so I could see us definitely dropping this game.
Yeah, I could see this game going either way. However, I don't think the Patriots, again, it's early in the season, so going to New England's not going to be that big of a deal as far as weather. But you do have Bill Belichick, best coach of all time. I don't even think it's close. But his team is not what they used to be. We saw how bad they were last year, and I don't think by adding a couple receivers,
drafted Christian Gonzalez as well,
and Christian Gonzalez is going to be a good player for him.
Yeah,
definitely going to help pick up the slack in that secondary with the McCourty retiring. And no longer Stephon Gilmore that we saw 2 years ago in New England. Or J.C. Jackson.
J.C. Jackson is a Charger. So they've got Jonathan Jones. They've got Christian Gonzalez. And then I want to say there's one other player I reckon. Oh, Kyle Duggar is their safety. They drafted Marte Mapu, safety / linebacker out of, I believe, San Jose State or something. Daniel Jeremiah talked about him all the time, and I'm a huge DJ fan, so I believe that he's going to be a good player. But, we'll see. I think it's just one of those games where it's like, we shouldn't have lost, but we did, and we just got to figure out how to move on.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happen, but with Mac Jones there, I think our defense is going to eat him alive.
That might be true. Mac Jones kind of stinks.
So I'll give us a hot start, starting 5-0.
You have a starting 5-0. I have a starting 3-2. Moving on to Week 6, I think we'll both agree on this one. We're going to Houston. I see us winning there for sure. Although I'm gonna save my official prediction for our hot takes episode that we're gonna do in the NFL season. But I think Houston's gonna be a lot better than people think they are.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with us playing 6 games in. Gives that offense 5 games to find a little bit of chemistry. That defense
and you want to talk about young. Houston Texans might be the youngest team in the league.
Yeah, and that
CJ
defense,
Stroud, John
defense
Mechie
has been pretty good.
Yeah, defense wasn't there.
Last season, they were holding opponents to less than 20 points a game.
Yeah, defense was not their downfall last year.
They just didn't have offense.
I mean, CJ Stroud, Damian Pierce, John Mechie, Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson. They've got a lot of...
Nico Collins.
I was leaving him out for a reason. Dalton Schultz coming in at tight end. They've got a lot of good young players on that offense.
They can be productive.
But I think the Saints have enough to overpower them.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. So 6-0 for me.
You got them 6-0. I've got us 4-2. I've got us dropping to 4-3 with our Week 7 matchup of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That you look at the Jags as a team who really picked it up last year and are probably only going to take steps forward. I don't love us on prime time Thursday night at home against the Jags. I think that's another one of those games like the Patriots where you're could go either way. Unfortunately, it doesn't fall in our favor. So I've got to start in 4-3.
Yeah, I'll have them dropping this game too. Trevor Lawrence has just picked up his place so much since his rookie year. They've also added a ton of weapons like Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, and Calvin Ridley's coming back. that's going to be dangerous.
Jags are going to be a really good squad.
ETN had a sneaky 1,000-yard season last season.
Mm-hmm.
He was out for a little bit at the start, and then when he came back, he kind of blew up, but under the radar.
Yeah. And I want to say they drafted a running back as well. I don't remember who it was, but I think they got a running back in the draft, too, who was kind of like, oh, he's going to be a good guy to hide behind ETN. So Jaguars could be very good this year.
But yeah, I'll have us dropping that game going to 6-1.
And while you look that up, I'm going to give us the two. I'm going to be honest. Weeks 8 and 9. If we lose either of these games, I'm going to be mad because we're playing the two.
They got Tank Bigsby.
Tank Bigsby. That's who it was. I knew they drafted somebody.
That's a great.
It's a good person to be
1-2 combo. Yeah.
At ETN. Week 8 and 9 is our two easiest games. Because it's against, in my opinion, two of the worst teams in the NFL. We're going to Indy to face the Colts, and then we'll be at home against the Bears. I think those are two easy wins. You cannot afford to even make those games close.
Yeah, I mean, Colts, I'd see this winning that game 9 out of 10 times.
I think Colts might be the worst team in football this year.
Yeah, they might end up last. They might get the number 1 pick. Might have to draft another quarterback.
Yeah, I mean... I think a lot of it's going to be on, is Anthony Richardson who they think he's going to be? If he is what they say he's going to be, Colts can win the division. Yeah. If he's what I've seen him be, they might be the worst team in football.
And then, I don't think he's going to be, what they expect him to be. They're all talking about Cam Newton. I don't think he has, the size as far as weight goes. He's tall, but he doesn't. Cam Newton had a lot of muscle on him.
Yeah, Cam Newton was like
running over people.
6'6", 260. I think Anthony Richardson is like 6'4", 240. So, I mean, he's definitely smaller.
Yeah, definitely smaller. And he also doesn't have the speed that Cam Newton had. He also doesn't have the team that Cam Newton had.
True.
I don't see the Colts, maybe down the line, yeah, he could become a really good passer. I see him becoming more of Donovan McNabb than Cam Newton. In that he has a pretty good arm. He can throw the ball a good distance, good at the deep pass, and he's got the receivers to do that with Michael Pittman, great deep ball threat. Also, one of my favorite young receivers in the league.
Love Pittman.
But it's going to take some time to figure it out. They're going to need to add some more weapons to him. So I see the Saints winning this game. As far as the Bears go, the following week. Bears, they've turned it up. Not a lot of people will realize this, but Bears have a nice young team. Adding DJ Moore is another weapon for Justin Fields, and we saw how well Fields played last season with, given what he had, which was just Darnell Mooney.
True.
I think they are going to step up their play. However, I think the Saints will win this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears are going to be better than last year, but I don't think they're going to be like a playoff contender in my mind. Saints do suck at containing running quarterbacks, though, so it could be one of those games where Justin Fields takes off for 155 and 2 touchdowns. But I don't see us losing that game at home, middle of the year, Chicago Bears. I think we'll take that one. So far...
That game I see as more of a defensive matchup, and I think our defense can contain their offense better than their defense can contain ours.
I like the way you think. So through 9 weeks, I've got us at 6-3. You've got us at 8-1. Bold.
And then it all falls apart.
Yeah. The next week, I think we can. This is another one that can go either way. But week 10, we're going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings.
It's not a primetime game.
Not a primetime game.
Therefore.
So Kirk Cousins will be in full.
Kirk Cousins will be slinging.
He will be in full effect. This is another one I see us dropping. We could win it. I feel like that. I feel that way about every game this year. Is that we could win it.
Exactly.
I don't think there's any games in our schedule where I'm like, there's no way we're winning this game. But week 10 against the Vikings, I could see us dropping that one after taking 2 straight wins to the Colts and the Bears. So week 10 Vikings, win or loss?
I'm going to say loss. That offense got a lot scarier. Ed and Jordan Addison, they're pretty much stacked at every position. You got Hawkinson at tight end. You got the receivers and Jefferson, Addison and Osborne.
KJ Osborne, good player.
Has been, another one of those sneaky good players where he's kind of flying under the radar, but he's a great
third option.
Great piece for that team. And then you got the 2-headed dragon with Cook and Madison.
You know, Cook's been on the like trade block, I guess you'd say. Like a lot of people have been talking about. You know, he may not be a Viking.
He couldn't stay healthy the last couple seasons, but he's still been productive.
He's a good player. You can't get rid of a good player like that.
And then Kirk Cousins at noon on a Sunday is.
That's prime Kirk Cousins, man.
That's his prime time.
That is his prime time.
So yeah, I'll take us dropping this game.
Yeah. So you'll have us at 8-2.
8-2.
I'll have us at 6-4 going into our Week 11 bye week. I think Week 11 is a perfect spot for our bye week.
Yeah, I think we'll win that week.
Yeah. It'll be tough, but I think we can pull it out.
It's like what was it, like a couple of years ago? Or no, I think it was last season they had the Bears lose into the bye week.
Yeah, because they were so bad. We come out of the bye week taking on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Atlanta's another team that could be really good this year. I mean, they've got a lot of young pieces too. Desmond Ridder, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Made a lot of improvements on the defensive side of the ball. They got tons of secondary players. AJ Terrell is one of the best corners in the league. You add Jeff Okudah. I think you lose Casey Hayward, but you brought in a couple guys in the draft, brought in some free agents. So the Falcons could be a good team, could be a bad team. On the road, coming out the bye week, I will have us beating the Falcons.
I like the bye week right there, right before Atlanta. I'll have us winning this game too. I think we're going to come out swinging because of the bye week, so we'll be rested. And I think we're kind of just going to be a little too much for Atlanta to contain that week.
All right, so you're at 9-2. I'm at 7-4. Next week, I've got us losing again, unfortunately, against my secondary team, the Detroit Football Lions. Noon game in the Superdome. Again, a game that either team could win. I think both teams are going to be very good. But I don't like the way we match up against the Lions, in my opinion. I don't know, man.
The Saints have always struggled when, teams are kind of similar. And I feel like the Lions are pretty similar to the Saints.
Fair.
So I'll give the Lions the win on this one too.
Jamal Williams' revenge game, but
yeah,
it's a running back. So I'll have us at 7-5.
I also think that this is where the injuries start to come in. This late in the season, kind of get into the dog days. We might pick up a few injuries in Atlanta because of how dirty they are.
Facts. Week 14, Panthers. I'll take us winning that one. I think we split the series against the Panthers. I had us losing the away game. I'll take us at the home game, beating the Panthers. Week 14.
So with the loss to the Lions,
yeah,
I have them at
9-3. I have us at 7-5, 8-5 after this win against Carolina.
We're playing at home?
We're playing at home.
Oh.
You had us winning the first one against Carolina.
I think
it's okay to change your mind.
I think we'll win this game against Carolina. I think we could beat them 2 games in a row. And I really, Bryce Young, I think he's going to be a great player for the Panthers for a while to come. But with these weapons that he has, I don't think this is the season where they can beat the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, they have really good receivers. Like Adam Thielen and DJ Chark, good receivers. Terrace Marshall, good receiver. But they don't have a run game. And you hear the cliche all the time that a running back is a rookie quarterback's best friend. And they don't have a running back right now.
They don't have that. They got Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, I mean, Miles Sanders is good, but I don't think he's...
But he's not the running back you need as a rookie quarterback.
No.
He is a receiving back. And, those receivers, yeah, they're good, they're decent, but none of them I would consider, a number one option.
Fair enough.
Thielen maybe a few years ago, yeah, he's, a dog a few years ago, but he's getting older, getting slower, losing that quick first step that he had. And, if our secondary's healthy, I'd see us winning this game.
All right. Moving on to Week 15,
so
our
I have
third
us at
straight.
10-3.
That's a That's a good record. Have us at 8-5. Third straight week home game. Or the third game of the 3-game homestand. We've got the New York Giants. Sunday at 12. Week 15.
At home against the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it being a very similar game to last season, home against the Giants. If I'm being honest, we were there.
Yeah, I remember that
We
one.
were like 10 rows from the field.
We were, and then Saquon took a wheel route up the sideline in overtime and beat us. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, I don't know why I see us dropping this game to the Giants. Saquon Barkley has definitely proved that he's not the injury-prone guy everybody thought he was going to be after his second season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people calling Saquon a bust, but now he's kind of shown himself as one of the elite backs in the league.
That and Daniel Jones has picked up his play.
Definitely. Brian Daboll's a great coach.
And Brian Daboll has turned that team around. They made the playoffs last year for a reason.
And won a playoff game.
And, I could see us losing this game. So, give me 10-4.
Yeah, I could definitely see us dropping this one. Kind of similar to the Lions game, in my opinion. But I think we'll end up winning it. I think we can take it against the Giants. That
game's going to come down to whose offense wants it more.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I think Daniel Jones is a more mistake-prone quarterback than Derek Carr is. And when it comes down late in the game, who's going to make that mistake? I think it'll be the Giants rather than us. So I've got us at 9-5. You've got us at 10-4, and we'll both take a win here. I already know it. Thursday night football against the Los Angeles Rams in SoFi. However, the Rams might stink again this year too.
They might, but on the other hand,
if Stafford comes back healthy and they still have Cooper Kupp,
they'll have their whole team rejuvenated. Cam Akers gets another year under his belt. Cooper Kupp comes back healthy, and we've all seen what he can do when he's healthy. Matt Stafford also comes back healthy. If those two guys can stay healthy, they can win on any given week just with those two guys.
Yeah,
and we've seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it. I just last year I think proved that they had weaknesses, and it showed. And I think the Saints can expose those. Even if Stafford and Kupp are healthy, I don't think they have enough around them to win games continuously next season. They might be one of those 7-win teams who win some, lose some.
If we flash back to 2 seasons ago, our good friend Mr. Lottober,
every time
had them winning 5 games,
and they won the Super Bowl.
They ended up winning the Super Bowl.
So I don't want to be Clown Car and say that the Rams are going to win 6 games and then they win the Super Bowl. But I think the Saints can beat them Week 16 prime time. So I would have us sitting at 10-5.
It's for me coming up to the end of the season and playing the Rams. I think it's going to be one of those games where we kind of overlook our opponent and we drop one that we shouldn't have. I'll take the loss there to also go 10-5.
All right, so we are looking at Week 17 going to Raymond James Stadium, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Year's Eve. What are we thinking on this one?
A fat dub.
Fat dub? I would agree. I think we're going to sweep the Buccaneers.
I think we will too, and I think it's going to be, at this point in the season where the Buccaneers have realized that, we're not winning anything. We're not going to play for anything. Let's kind of just, get our backups some playing time and see if we find a diamond in the rough.
And then, so that has us both sitting at 11-5. And last game of the season, Week 18, Atlanta Falcons. I have us dropping that one. Not because I think the Falcons are going to beat us. I think we're just going to sit our starters. We will have already won the division. We probably won't have much to play for at that point. We'll fall 3rd or 4th seed as a divisional winner. We'll drop that one on purpose, not care about our last game. So I have us going 11-6.
Did I have us beating the Falcons or something?
You had us... I believe you said winning out of the bye week.
Yes, I did. So, yeah, I also think we'll lose this one. Kind of like you said, yeah, we'll kind of our starters might play for the first quarter. Maybe some of them a little into the second quarter.
And I think it depends on what everybody else is doing. Because if we're sitting at 11,
if it's a hunt,
if we're sitting at 11-5, we have the chance to grab the 2 seed. We might go all out, try to grab that 12th win and become the 2 seed. But if we're sitting at a spot where it's like 3-4, we might not really care.
It comes down to what the positioning or what the seeding's like, how close we are, and I think we can win that game if we want to.
Yeah, I agree. If we throw our starters out there, we can beat the Falcons in the last week of the season. So we both have us going 11-6 on the year. I think that's a great number for the Saints. Like we said, win total was set at 9.5. We both like the over on that, whether it be 10 or 11 wins, because there is some room for error. A couple games where we had to think about it. I say anything at a double digit or higher is a win for the Saints this year.
Yeah.
I think double digits,
especially with how the division comes down to it. I think even if it's 9, we
could
still have a shot at
division.
playoffs.
Yeah, I think 10 wins secures you the division, and arguably one of I would say the second worst division in football.
What's the worst?
AFC South. They have the Jags, and everybody else is going to finish 8 wins or less.
The NFC West is also kind of one of those divisions where
could be really good, could be really
bad. Could be great, could be bad. You have the 49ers who are going to be good.
Joel Embiid looks like a dolphin out here. He's diving all over the floor.
But then all the other teams can win 12 games or they could win 4.
Yeah.
Especially the Cardinals.
The Cardinals will... Cardinals are going to end up with the number 1 pick next year. They might win 2 games. I don't think Kyler Murray's going to play a single game this year. Because, he tore his ACL in week 11. Probably wouldn't come back until week 10 or 11 this year. And then, by then you probably have only won 2 games. And you're like, Kyler, why don't you just sit down?
Yeah.
Take some rest. But we're going to go through the whole NFL, predictions and who we think's going to win what once the season gets closer. We're going to talk about what the summer's going to look like probably on the next episode. Something we got to talk about off camera just because we have some extenuating circumstances from one of our co-hosts, one of us sitting on this couch, may or may not be around.
One of us shorter than the other.
Okay. Not necessary. Anyway, finally, wrapping it up, Saints, we got them going 11-6. I think that's a great record for us. I think we've got some promise. We've got the Holy Trinity in the backfield. I'm starting that nickname, by the way. With Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller, the Holy Trinity. That's what I'm calling them. And I'm going to push that narrative until it sticks. Derek Carr coming in. We've got some receivers for sure. Chris Olave, Michael Thomas. Got a promising defense as we do every year. So I'm excited for this Saints season.
Me too.
I'm excited to keep talking about this Saints season. I'm excited to keep watching this NBA playoff, see where that goes, see how right we were, how wrong we were. And
most likely how wrong we were.
Yeah, absolutely how wrong we were. Hopefully we can get, one of our favorite co-hosts or favorite guests back on the show soon in either Clown Car or, Rebo Hustle, Lionel, any of them. Maybe a new guest. Tom Cruise is in Boston. Tom Cruise is not going to be on this podcast. Maybe we can get Dustin to come back to Louisiana, show up on a episode. Maybe get Soundman back in our lives. But yeah, that'll do it for us tonight. As always, you can go back and watch us on Twitch or on YouTube. Off the Dome Sports Podcast on YouTube, OTD Sports on Twitch. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Off the Dome Sports Podcast. The logo will look just like that t-shirt. You can also find us on Twitter at @off_the_dome pod. We appreciate everybody for listening, for watching, and we will see you next time.